sensation in our galaxy. A great piece of land on which the United States of America was located broke off from the planet Earth and flew off into the depths of outer space. This event was preceded by circumstances that determined it. What do the following have in common? A Muslim peasant, a European intellectual, an Iranian soldier, a Danish actress, a Latin American president, German students, an African worker, and Russian generals. They all hate America. The USA, of course, is a great country, the undisputed leader of world progress. But just like any great power, she is full of inner contradictions. And of course, not everyone likes the American lifestyle, the American way of behaving. And it is possible not to like Americans as people. It is not necessary to love America. But hate it? For what? And which America? The real one? Only a few of the millions or billions of people who do not like or actually hate America have seen it. They experience these feelings not toward the country that actually exists, but toward some phantom, a virtual image created by propaganda. The demonization of America began with the start of the Cold War, when all the power of the gigantic Stalinist propaganda machine was turned against it. The communists created the image of a country embodying all the world's evil. America sucks out all the juices from poor countries, spins intrigues, threatens with an atom bomb, and exploits nations. Clichés. American imperialists are racists and aggressors. American militarists become habitual. Yankees are haughty and impolite boors. They produce all the world's misfortunes: poverty, hunger, diseases, wars. They are poisoners of nature and enemies of all that lives on the earth. The clichés created by Soviet propaganda have turned out to be extremely resilient. They fell on fertile soil, and since that time, their clones are traveling around the earth in various guises, poisoning the social consciousness. The main and most widespread myth about the United States is that she is aggressively striving to gain world hegemony. She is the only superpower in today's unipolar world and imposes her will, her values, her way of life on other countries. But these assertions are far from the truth. Although America does not indeed possess enormous economic potential and military might, in all the wars in which the USA, like other great powers, has conducted, whether just or controversial, whether victorious or not, this country has never made its goal to turn another country into a colony, or even a satellite. Defeated Germany or Japan became flourishing world powers, not without the support of those same United States. An undefeated Vietnam now actively cooperates with its former adversary. Can the President of the USA really give an order by telephone to the leader of another country, just like Stalin and Brezhnev did, giving orders to the leaders of Hungary, Bulgaria, and Poland? Look at the map. Where are the American colonies? Where are the puppet regimes? Can you name even one country that would unconditionally obey orders from Washington? What kind of imperialism is that without an empire? America has the strongest army in the world and enjoys significant military superiority over all the other countries of the world. If the adversaries of this country, such as Iran or North Korea, had such superiority, it is not hard to guess how they would use it. Another widespread myth is that the Americans established their prosperity by fleecing the resources of less developed countries and exploiting their peoples. Excuse me, but what resource theft are we talking about? Who is really to blame for economic backwardness, poverty, misery, and disease in third world countries? From whom did America take away diamonds, metals, oil? From Iran? From Venezuela? From Saudi Arabia? Who is stealing from whom? Generally, the USA has a negative trade balance with the countries of the third world. The USA pays more for raw materials to these countries than it receives from them in payment for its goods. Over the past 15 years, oil-producing nations have raised oil prices 6 to 7 times. This means that they receive this many times more for their God-given resources. Where the rulers had enough sense to properly dispose of the profits coming from the sky, the people live very well, sometimes even better than the American people. But those countries that spend the receipts on the senseless ambitions of their political leaders, dictators, and tyrants, on the enrichment of the ruling classes, on bureaucratic corruption, keep blaming all their problems on whom? The answer is not hard to guess. America.
أمريكا هي العدو الأول لشعب فلسطين وللأمة الإسلامية والعربية. نعم، أمريكا هي العدو الأول لهذا الشعب. أمريكا هي العدو الأول للأمة الإسلامية.
Take Cuba, for example. The Cubans, nearly 50 years ago, broke off economic relations with the U.S., which no longer exploits them. The result? Cuba is one of the poorest countries in Latin America. Moreover, the most petty and improbable myths and accusations are constantly arising. The spread of AIDS all over the world? This was done by the hands of American Secret Services operatives. CIA agents are everywhere, undermining all progressive regimes and setting up constant provocations. For this purpose, they insidiously make use of charitable and humanitarian foundations. American culture corrupts other nations, dictates alien values. Scientific cooperation is only a way of organizing a brain drain to America or of collecting intelligence data. In general, any act by the United States in the international arena necessarily gives rise to more and more accusations. All these myths and accusations are easy to disprove, but people believe in them. Millions of people, because they want to believe them. The true reasons for this lie deep in the unconscious and are founded on hidden human complexes. First among them is the ordinary human feeling of envy. Always and everywhere, the poor have envied the rich. The sick have envied the healthy. Plain people have envied beautiful people. Failures have envied the fortunate. And this goes not only for individual qualities, but also for social groups and whole nations. America is a flourishing country. Americans live well. They enjoy their lives. While we are poor and we fight over a piece of bread, we have a mass of injustices. Who is guilty for that? The United States of America. Whether America is really guilty or not no longer matters much. The important thing is that we have found the source of evil. It is them. They are guilty of everything. Another complex is connected with resistance to change, with conservatism of consciousness. The speed with which America moves along the path of world progress, with other Western countries following right behind, is incompatible with the slow steps of backward and poor countries, which are left on the sidelines of progress. Those who are hopelessly left behind, who find themselves in a historical dead end, seek a way out from that position and find the easiest way out. We have no chance to become leaders without accepting the basic values of world civilization? The idea of salvation is this: reverse course, diametrically change global goals. We are the salt of the earth. Up with medievalism, down with soulless technological civilization, up with originality, right religion, and age-old traditions. It is amazing to contemplate, but many Europeans, and above all, members of the European intellectual elite, such as journalists, artists, and politicians, are in the same camp. They have their own complexes, which are difficult to understand and explain in the same manner. For many centuries, Europe was the cradle of Western civilization, a recognized leader in science, art, politics. European thinkers created contemporary humanist ideology based on human rights. And suddenly, leadership swam away across the ocean. Naturally, there were offended feelings, jealousy, a desire to unseat the usurper. Just recently, European countries possessed enormous empires, and their power determined the political map of the world. Until now, the populations of these countries, especially the elites, suffer from imaginary pains over their lost empires. This is true especially with regard to Russia. Only yesterday, Russia was a mighty superpower, but today she is just another European country, offended by the lost Cold War, which deprived the country of its imperial status. A hope for revenge boils underneath her consciousness. These complexes motivate the actions of a majority of European journalists and politicians who exploit any opportunity to slander America. Violence and human rights violations in many countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America do not call forth even a fraction of the